Well, if you take Robert Peel, the second baronet, he introduced legislation which meant that women and children were banned from working in mines, that improved the working conditions of women and children, that repealed the Corn Laws, which allow people who were starving as a result of the failed harvest throughout the United Kingdom in the 1840s and 1850s to eat, drove down prices to make them more affordable for ordinary people, introduced education into our schools, into our prisons for prisoners, paid jailers for the first time, ensured that 100 offences were taken off the penal code which had previously carried the death penalty. So we're talking about a social reformer of his time, and every politician I've met, it doesn't matter about the party, is a social reformer. I've never met one politician, not one, who wants to make life more difficult for anybody. Not one of any party or anything. The politicians that I've met are passionate, determined to make people's lives better. People make the wrong policy choices. People do, there's all sorts of debates in respect of doing that. There's some massive questions that you're quite rightly saying, underlying social questions which are related to all sorts of things, education, jobs, all of these things, family, all play into a very complex question. But the one thing that all politicians should be absolutely, the only reason the reason that motivated me to go into politics in the first place was I thought I come from a single mum who was a cleaner. We couldn't afford our own house. I had to go and live with my grandma until we was 15 or 16. My mum only bought her first house when she was, she won't like me for saying this, but she would say when she was into her life, she managed to go to night school, and she qualified as a social worker and had a fantastic career doing that. But the drive to ensure that those from the poorest backgrounds, those who are the most disadvantaged, those who perhaps have special educational needs, those who have got all of these things, to create equality of opportunity, to create the circumstances where you can live your life in a way that's not judgmental, and you're not going to be judged on the basis of your race, your religion, your sex, your creed, whatever it is. That's what motivated me. I always had it in my head that I wanted to make sure that, and I was the chair of governors at Hoyle Nursery School, as you know, the only state nursery school in Bury for 6 years. When I walked into that school and I looked at those young children, we've got 17 different languages in there, children from all types of backgrounds, a unit dealing with children very severe needs. A lot of children were autistic, but they're all fantastic. I wanted to make sure when I looked at those, have you got the best chance to be an astronaut, a footballer, a newsreader, a high court judge, a painter and decorator, whatever it is you want to do, is your chance of doing that the same as a person who is at a private school? Now, we both know the answer to that. The answer to that is no. That's why I'm involved in politics. Let's make sure, or let's try our very best to ensure that those people who haven't had those chances are going to have those chances going forward. And getting back to the start of the conversation, let's follow the example of people like Robert Peel, who stood up and made a difference in their time. They didn't go along with... Robert Peel spent 6 months arguing in Parliament about repealing the Corn Laws. 6 months going through there saying, we need to reduce prices. People are going through really difficult times, basically starvation as a result of what's going on. Our moral duty is to stand up for these people and to make sure that they can eat and they can go forward, and that everybody should have a chance. Why would Robert Peel have said, let's introduce education for people in prisons, if he didn't believe that no matter what your background, that you can have a chance of being the best person you can, of doing what you want to do? And that's what politics is about. But Robert Peel is not part of that conversation. He's what we should be aiming to be for our time. He was a star for his time. He's I think, Bury's most famous son, born at Chamber Hall, and that's why, on a different thing completely, why I think the statue situation for Robert Peel, he's the man in my constituency. He's not the man to be bringing into conversations like this.